Hello, welcome back to the program, Property Behind the Scenes, brought to you by the Federation of Estate Agents. Today we have the honor of having with us Yuri Malahov, right, the founder of the Aeternity blockchain, who will be spending the rest of the program with us explaining exactly what the blockchain and the cryptocurrency is, as well as the new foundation of this third generation of the blockchain. Welcome on board the program, Yuri.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm Yani. I'm from Eternity blockchain. I'm the founder of this new blockchain project. And I was earlier involved in a project called Ethereum, which is currently the second largest crypto platform on the globe. And there are some problems with existing blockchain systems which we try to solve with Eternity. One of them is the scalability, another one is the governance, and a few other things which I will probably talk about later on. I was also involved in a couple of wallet projects early on. So a mobile wallet for having crypto, a browser wallet, a secure multi-signature wallet, and yeah, a colored coin wallet, with which I worked with one of the other creators of Ethereum early on.
Thank you. The program is brought to you every day at 7:30 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. on weekdays, and at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. Please stay with us. See you after the commercial break. Welcome back to the program Property Behind the Scenes. We have today in the studio with us Yani Malahov, who is the founder of the third generation of cryptocurrency and blockchain known as Aeternity. Yani, we hear first generation, which is Bitcoin, second generation, which is Ethereum, and third generation, which is Eternity. Mm-hmm. What made it first generation, second generation, and third generation? What's the difference?
So the blockchain first came up with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin uses the blockchain as a digital currency platform and payment system. At least this was the original idea behind Bitcoin. One can say that currencies are the first application of blockchain technology in general, but we have seen now that blockchains can be used for many different things: digital assets, smart contracts, or generally just using it as a notary service for whatever type of documents. So with Ethereum, we have seen now a smart contract platform which auto-executes contracts, computer programs, depending on certain variables, depending on certain user signatures, moving around value, moving around digital assets on this global platform. What we have not seen so far is the scalability or the solving or the scalability at the moment is still one of the major issues with the public blockchain project. So the sheer transaction volume is rather low, and the transaction throughput needs to be increased in order to achieve global adoption of this technology. And this is what we are working on at Eternity as one aspect, solving the scalability via state channels in which the smart contracts can stay private, and only in case of disagreement they need to be written to the public blockchain. It acts in a similar way to a public court. We call it the crypto court.
Okay, so when you say scalability, basically you mean that in Bitcoin, now one Bitcoin has become equivalent to nearly $8,000. When in 2013 it was only $20. So now we're going to ridiculous tiny fractions. So scalability, you mean that the new cryptocurrencies will be smaller. They won't be of such a high value as, for example, Bitcoin. Is that what scalability means?
This is interesting. This is a different aspect, slightly different aspect. With scalability, we mean the amount of transactions which are necessary in order to achieve mainstream adoption for blockchain technology. With what you say, it's more regarding the transparency. So with Bitcoin and with Ethereum and also with Eternity, everybody will be able to know how many coins, how many tokens exist, and this way it's fully transparent in a way that nobody can create fake tokens or just increase the supply of the tokens, of the coins. And the interesting aspect here is that because of the high demand for crypto, if you have a constant, finite supply of tokens, then the value of the tokens needs to increase if the demand rises. It's a market.
It's established by the market. There is no central bank control or government control on crypto. This is pure market speaking.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
But then, as opposed to money, there's a finite supply. So you start and there is only so many tokens, and you know that in the future there will be only so many. Whereas with money like the dollar, the Federal Reserve is printing money at an unbelievable rate. The euro, the European Central Bank is printing about $80 billion a month, and people start to get afraid that their euro might be worth less. But with cryptocurrencies, the amount is fixed by a mathematical formula.
Exactly.
Right? Is this what is creating demand for crypto? That people are seeing their money currencies being printed, but crypto is fixed? Is this your experience?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the national banks or central banks, they print quite a lot of new, how should I call it?
Paper money.
Paper money. And it's in the policy to inflate, like let's say from 1% to 3% per year. It's against the interest of the people to hold something which loses value by definition.
And which is being multiplied without their consent.
Right, right.
Okay.
So this is also the reason why Bitcoin is called digital gold. And with Eternity, we will have also a finite supply and a fully transparent amount of tokens. There will be mining as well. So there will be some sort of inflation, especially at the beginning, but it will be fully transparent and it will be like part of the protocol, part of the original, one could call it constitution of this new blockchain system.
So cryptocurrencies are not only used to facilitate transactions, but we are saying that now they are a source of investment as well, where people are putting money into crypto and leaving it there until they require or decide to pull it out. So it's not just to facilitate transaction, but it's a store of value as well.
Correct. Bitcoin especially is called a store of value. I believe that one needs to use crypto in a daily circumstances. Otherwise, if everybody would just store the value and not use it for anything, then it would also become worthless. So there needs to be some sort of trade-off between using and storing. Only storing doesn't work. If lots of people use it, again, some people will store it, but the use is the most important part.
There are some countries, very sophisticated economies like Japan, where it's actually legal tender. You can go to a supermarket and buy with a cryptocurrency. At the moment, it's Bitcoin. All right. So this has been adopted by national governments as well.
Yeah, in Japan, crypto is legal. It attracted lots of business to Japan. Lots of exchanges moved to Japan. Originally, also one of the largest Bitcoin exchanges was Japanese. It failed though, but this is a different story. And today, there's a huge demand or huge interest from the population of Japan to use Bitcoin. Although at the moment the transaction fees with Bitcoin are too high to be used in a daily circumstances. So with Eternity, we wanna have cheaper and more transactions to facilitate daily.
And if I remember properly, between first generation, there were like 6 transactions a second allowed on the system. Eternium, which is second generation, allows 15 transactions a second. Eternity is unlimited.
Yeah.
So you could be standing in front of a cash till of a supermarket, and the transaction is done there and then. You don't have to wait several minutes or hours or perhaps even a day for it to happen.
So this is the benefit of having transaction as state channels. You can literally translate or transact as many transactions as you want, just limited by the speed of lights. So it's kind of unlimited. There's still a limit though, but it's several orders of magnitude higher than existing blockchain systems.
So I'm always trying to understand it from the user point of view. So it is good to make transactions. Mm-hmm. It is good as a store of value. Mm-hmm. However, we keep on hearing Plan B. This is something we shall tackle in the second part of the program. But what is Plan B? Why should people have an alternative currency? In case what happens?
So that we have just one currency is a rather new phenomenon. Early in the days, we had different types of coins, gold, silver, and also other types of coins. And
the Deutschmark, the Italian lira,
right.
The French franc, the Swiss franc, the Belgian.
Exactly.
Today it's like the euro.
Exactly. So.
And it can be a bit frightening.
Frightening, yes. I mean, I grew up in a country, or I was brought up in a country in Eastern Europe where I witnessed by myself hyperinflation. So when a currency becomes worthless, when fiat money becomes worthless, and it's always good to have a separate, you can call it store of value or a separate currency at hand, which you can then use to buy certain things or facilitate trade, just in case.
Which is not controlled by the government.
Right.
But purely by market forces.
Right.
We're going to switch to a commercial break. Please stay with us. See you within a few minutes. Thank you. Welcome back to the program, Property Behind the Scenes. This program shows every day on the weekdays, 7:30 a.m. and 8:30 p.m., as well on weekends at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. We're honored today to have with us Yuri, who is the founder of the Yani, I correct myself, who is the founder of the blockchain of Eternity. We've covered a lot of ground, Yani, all right? Now the practicality as a user, all right? I hear about smart contracts and the referee of the smart contract who's called an oracle. How does this work? If I want to buy, like today I go to Amazon and I buy this mug, I have to pay in advance. Right. And sometimes it doesn't arrive or it arrives broken. When I had to use Eternity, a cryptocurrency with a blockchain, with a smart contract, how would this transaction be different?
Right, so instead of paying directly to Amazon, you would pay the tokens, the value, the money into a smart contract. And this smart contract will interface via an oracle with the delivery man. And this delivery man...
So the oracle is the delivery man?
The oracle in this case can be the delivery man, yes. He will essentially feed in the data that he arrived at the location and dropped off the package
and you
at
sign
your
for
home.
It, for example?
Yeah, you can also sign for it. In the future, there will be even smart cars which will track themselves where they are, and in case, for example, you need something in real time, because otherwise you can't continue doing business because you'll run out of stock.
So you don't have to spend a day working for him. The tracking will tell you how close the vehicle is to you. You know exactly the estimated time of arrival, and you're standing there to receive the package.
Right. Exactly. You will essentially put in the smart contract how important it is for you that the package arrives at a certain time at your home, and if it doesn't arrive, you can even have an insurance as form of a smart contract.
Compensation.
And this way, for example, pay less if the package arrives too late.
So
possible.
the money is paid to the supplier only when you receive the package in a condition that is acceptable to you. So basically it's like a letter of credit, really, isn't it? So you're guaranteed that what you ordered will come as it was supposed to come.
Yeah.
So
One can say this.
and the transaction costs, I'm understanding, are much, much less in this case.
The transaction costs are much less as long as everything is automated. Yes.
Automated. In reality, what kind of percentages are we talking about? For example, on a credit card fee, you could have anything from 0.75% to 3%. All right. With a blockchain like Aeternity, what kind of figures are we looking at?
So ideally, we will get the transaction cost lower than 5 cents or even lower than 1 cent. It really depends on the amount of transactions which we will be able to host on the network, as well as the demand of the transactions on the network.
So the more transactions there are, the cheaper it will become.
Yeah.
Okay, which is actually the opposite of Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin, they're now raising the charges because there are so many transactions and the system can't handle it because it's only 6 transactions a second.
I must correct myself. The more transactions there are, the more expensive the transaction should also become.
All right. In relation to property, all right. We have lots of foreigners who are buying in Malta at the moment, and I have a foreign client who comes and likes a property, but there's a process. You have to do the legal searches. You have to check the permits. How would crypto come into it? Would the oracle be the notary?
This is one example how blockchains can be used in order to do property transactions. What can also be done, or what can also be achieved, is that the property title is put on the blockchain and notarized by the blockchain. You could even create, shares of a property and sell off these shares of this property.
Multiple ownership.
Yes, this is possible. This is possible. But you were asking about the oracle, so let me answer you this question. When the notary essentially confirms the signature on a piece of paper, because we're still using paper to do these transactions, then the payments can be done in an automated way from the person who buys the property to the person who sells the property, and the notary essentially sets the value, sets the money free, which is locked inside the smart contract, which is used for the
So
transaction.
basically, the notary would be the oracle. He's like the referee. He confirms the title. He confirms that everything is in order. When he says, "Okay, you're ready to go," the money would be transferred to the seller. The tokens in this particular case.
Correct.
There's another application to this. We talk about data, metadata. We understand large companies like Google, like Facebook, they mine data. And when you sign the contract with them, they say that they're allowed to use your data and you're giving your consent. Apparently, this blockchain generates metadata as well. And why is this different? Why would people be interested in the metadata that is generated by a blockchain like Aeternity?
There are many ways why people are interested in metadata, but generally speaking, with crypto, we wanna achieve that private data stays private in full control of the users, and public data is essentially made public and timestamped on the public blockchain. And with the user controlling their private keys, they can encrypt this data. They can just share it with people. They actually really want to share it, and they can actively sell it instead of being sold without their consent.
So basically, the data that is being generated by the people, there will be a financial reward to them for allowing that data to be used. So rather than the large corporates benefit from your data, with the blockchain, you benefit financially from the data that you generate.
Yeah, this is correct.
That is very interesting. At a government level now, right? Because central banks are partially controlled by government. In the case of America, you've got the Federal Reserve. In the case of Europe, you've got the European Central Bank. But in a confederation, in a federation, in the United States, in a union, you will have different interests. All right? Where does crypto come into this plan B? All right?
For me, crypto is also kind of like the next stage of globalization. Suddenly, you can transact with everybody on this planet Earth within seconds. What's super interesting for the governments is, though, to create a real-time taxation system in which they can collect, for example, VAT in real time, at the time where the transaction happens, where the goods get exchanged. And this can also be facilitated. Yeah.
So the government will not have to wait 3 months, 1 year, 2 years to collect taxation. They collect it as it is actually happening, right? And likewise, they will be able to pay social services and students' benefits and things like that through the wallets. So you no longer have to wait for the check because they just press a button and your credit is given to you there and then.
Right. This is totally possible as a future. It really depends on the details, how it gets implemented. I mean, so far there's no government using crypto, but yeah, we are really looking into this. I mean, it's a technology which it's coming. It's totally obvious. People want it, and if governments adopt the technology, then they will profit. For example, as we have seen with Japan, when there's a public statement about the how shall I say, the legality of crypto, then it attracts lots of business. And in the future, I see people having dedicated hardware devices with which they control their private keys and sign transactions and participate in this new global transaction system. And
so instead of using your mobile, which is today, that have a special device that will be much more highly encrypted and secure than a mobile, and they transact and they buy and they pay with it.
Correct. Yeah.
Because it's more secure than.
It's more secure to have a specially designed single-purpose wallet instead of using a general-purpose phone with which you also play games and watch movies and go on unsecure websites. So, yes, we will also need to have more open-source hardware. This is how I see it, which will be manufactured, or which will be created in a also decentralized fashion, not in a single point of failure. This is why we need more decentralized technologies such as blockchains.
Thank you for staying with us. This is the program Property Behind the Scenes. I am your host, Simon De Boon. I am the General Secretary of the Federation of Estate Agents. Today I have with me Yani Malahov, who is the founder of the Eternity blockchain and cryptocurrency. See you after the break.